This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 65.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 65, and in today's episode, I will be doing a recap of my 4 months of traveling through the Southeast Asia, what has happened to my business while I was traveling, the difficulties and the easy parts of it all. So this will be an episode very suitable for those who wish to travel a lot and people who want to run their business while traveling or run their business while living abroad in pretty much any country in the world. So let's get straight to it. First of all, I'd like to point out that there was really big difference between being a digital nomad and being a traveler. So let's look at the difference. The digital nomad is someone who can work their business online as long as they have access to internet, they could get things done. However, a digital nomad is usually not someone who is traveling every single day and changing their location every single day. It's someone who stays at the same place for a few weeks, a few months, and even a few years sometimes. So one of the biggest difficulties that I had this time around while traveling is that we traveled through 4 months through different countries, different places, and only in Thailand, we were able to rent out an apartment in Chiang Mai for 1 full month, and we lived there in for that 1 month. So for that 1 single month out of 4, we were actually digital nomads like many others, especially in that beautiful city. And this is when I was able to get a lot of work done. So let's look a little bit deeper into what has been done, what hasn't. And if you haven't already, please go to extrapodcast.com/43. This is the episode 43 of the podcast, the episode I recorded and released right before leaving to Asia. And this is where I was kind of trying to get myself prepared for the trip and planning some work ahead and getting some work done. One of the things that I did, and I'm really happy that I did that, was pre-recording about 20 episodes of Extra Paycheck Podcast. Looking back at all the traveling, all the moments where I couldn't get any work done, all the moments where I couldn't find good internet connection or I couldn't find a quiet place, I am now 100% sure I would have not been able to keep up with the podcast. I wouldn't be able to record new interviews. I wouldn't be able to record even episodes like that, like this one, when I am by myself without a guest, and I wouldn't be able to release them in time. I did promise on my podcast that I will release a new episode every single Monday. This is one of the reasons I recorded those 20 episodes before leaving to Asia, and I just released those episodes slowly every single Monday. Now, it wasn't just as simple as clicking a release button and the episode was there. I still had to edit the episodes. I still had to re-listen to them a few times to write proper show notes pages. I had to post that on my blog. I had to upload the episodes, which sometimes was incredibly hard to do because of the bad Wi-Fi, once again, bad internet connection. Then I had to spend some time sharing it online and being active in different online groups, kind of once again trying to promote the new episodes of those podcasts. So yeah, let's go back to the main subject. What is the difference of being a digital nomad and a traveler? So a traveler is someone who changes the city probably every day or every few days. At best, every 3-4 days, you're gonna change the place where you live, you're gonna change the city, or you even gonna change the country. So the very first thing that happens is you get extremely tired. Let's say you spend the whole day in a bus, or even flying, or, taking a boat or whatever other transport. Once you reach your destination, you will be mentally tired. You will be physically tired. And it would be extremely difficult to get any work done. Also, you don't have time to get the work done because you are on the road And it just, most of the time, it's impossible to get any work done while you're on the road. Another time waster when you travel so much and so often is that you need a lot of time to plan the activities. You don't want to, just change cities and go from one city to another for the sake of going from one city to another. You want to see what the city has to offer. You want to go out. You want to look at so many different things, and you need time to plan those activities. And while on the road, it's kind of a good way to plan those activities. That's where you get the time, because you don't need to think too much. You don't need to type out articles. You just, have to Google or look through TripAdvisor and travel blogs and YouTube videos, and you figure out what you're going to see, what you're going to do in the city that you're traveling to. So that's kind of cool. But that time is taken away from your business. Another thing that I already mentioned, often you will not have good internet connection. Now, what I did in many of those countries, like in Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, I bought local SIM cards with data plan only. So I only had data, and some of them are better than others. However, sometimes you still get no connection whatsoever. Now, when you travel from a hotel to hostel to guest house, some places will have internet, some won't. Most do, but most of the time it's very, very slow and very bad internet, because imagine you're at a hostel and there's like 150 people on the same internet connection or the same few internet connections, and they only have few routers. So the signal is either very weak or it's overloaded. So once again, you cannot get any work done. It's really, really, really hard to do. Staying disciplined, hard once again, because you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow, what time you'll have to work, and when you'll be able to work. A few things that happened to me is that I couldn't follow up on a niche website that I was going to launch while traveling. I mentioned that in the episode 43 of the podcast as well. So I did register a website. I did set it up. It's a website in a new niche, and we're still planning to make a case study out of that website. However, the website has been registered but not really launched. There is no content on it. I haven't written any content. I planned a bit of a content strategy for it, and this is where I'll be doing sometime soon, I hope, but it has not launched yet. And the fact that I was on the road kind of created that problem of not being able to launch it properly and not being able to keep up and writing content and producing content for that website. So sorry for that, but that's coming along sometime later this year. So I'll be working on that, and since I couldn't do it while traveling. Now, another thing that happened is that my girlfriend and I, we are selling a physical product that we created ourselves, and we had Urban Outfitters order that product from us, and they want to retail it. So we were able to send the first batch of products before we left to Asia. That was great. However, in late April, I believe, they reordered a new batch, a bigger batch of the same product. And since we were in Asia, we couldn't fulfill that order, which was quite scary experience. However, I got my sister and her boyfriend to help us out a lot. They actually spend their time making the product, packaging, and sending it to Urban Outfitters from Canada to US. So great, we got that done, but what happened is that the product got stuck at the border, at the customs, at the US customs. Long story short, DHL did not declare this product properly, so we had to spend a lot of time dealing with DHL and with US customs trying to get the product through the customs, which we succeeded eventually. The biggest problem was that when the customs would reply to us, or actually DHL customer service would get back to us, it usually was sometime between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time. It was 1 a.m. between 5 a.m. in Thailand. So because of these issues, there were many nights where we had to stay up until morning trying to deal with that because of the time difference. And that's another thing that kind of, could mess up your business. But I'll talk about that in detail a little bit later at the end of this episode. Now, when you're being a digital nomad, when you get the chance to stay at the same place for a long time, usually it's months at a time, if not years. So the only time we were able to do that was in Chiang Mai in Thailand, where we rented an apartment for 1 full month. We got internet working there, which wasn't great internet, but it was a working internet. So that's great. Once you're at the same place, in the same city, in the first week or so, you get to see a lot of activities, and then you're kind of free. Or what we did, we kind of tried to select a few days. Let's say every Wednesday we go out and we see a new thing in the city or around the city, but other days we work. And then weekend we go out, and maybe on weekends we go visit other cities around. But we had a lot more time to get work done. And this was a lifesaver. This is the only month in the whole trip that I was actually able to get some work done. Why this happens? First of all, you don't have to break your head too much about basic places like where are you going to eat today? Because once you start learning the city and you start getting used to it, you kind of figure out places where you like to eat. So you just drive up there and you eat, and you don't waste your time. You don't waste half a day looking for a better place to eat or trying to figure out what you're going to eat. You just go there and you eat. Now you get to meet local entrepreneurs or other digital nomads that are living in that city, which is really, really cool, because traveling, although fun, it could get lonely sometimes. And it's really awesome to meet other digital nomads, people who are kind of living what you want to live, people who have maybe better systems in place getting the work done, people who learn how to outsource and delegate their tasks, and they could share that knowledge with you, especially when you get to meet them face to face in real life in such cities as Chiang Mai that I keep talking about. We also got a chance to attend some really awesome events. There was Amazon Singapore, which through an event. There was an Amazon workshop for FBA sellers, which we already are. We're selling our products on FBA, and we got a chance to meet up with a group of people who some of them are doing it, some of them want to do it. So we got a lot of interesting information from that. Then we went to a dinner paid for by Payoneer, a company similar to PayPal, but they're trying to make an impact in the digital world, and they're trying to become one of the biggest online payment processors. So really, really cool stuff. So yeah, honestly, being a digital nomad is a lot more interesting and a lot more helpful for your business. I'm not saying that you shouldn't travel, and traveling is really fun. And usually people travel for a week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. So your business or your job is not really taking a hit. This is a vacation. You're ready for it. You go and have fun. But when you go for 4 months or more, then this is when you start seeing a big difference and kind of all the difficulties that this could cause. So although it's fun, it's really, really fun, and I do not regret a single bit that I went on that trip. You still see a bit of an impact on your business, and you still realize a lot of things that you wouldn't realize otherwise. So let's move into that. Let's move into the things that I have learned before. Not before. The things that I have learned while on the trip, the flaws that I saw in my business, and the things that I think need a big improvement, and things that I should be working harder on. And I think many entrepreneurs should be looking at those things as well, because I'm sure the same flaws apply to many online businesses and many online entrepreneurs. So let's go. First of all, the fact that I recorded the 20 plus episodes of my podcast for the trip was a huge help and a huge plus. So if possible, before you go traveling, do a lot of planning. Do as much planning as you can. If there's something you can get done before going there, something you can get ready before going traveling, do that. Record your podcast episodes, record your videos if that's what you're doing. Finish up whatever you can finish up, so you can kind of relax at least about those things, and you don't need to stress about them. I learned that I need to outsource more and I need to delegate. There are several tasks that I am sure I could have outsourced, or at least outsourced partially, which I did not do. And this kind of ate up a lot of my time and caused a lot of stress. Even the podcast editing, I am sure I can make it into a better process. I could probably hire someone to edit my episodes, and this would make the whole process of releasing an episode a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot stress-free. I wouldn't be scared that, oh my God, what if I don't get to a place that has internet this Sunday or this Monday? I wouldn't be able to release a podcast episode in time. And this stressed me quite a few times. However, I always managed to do that because the main part, the recording of the podcast, was done in advance. So that was a good thing. I've also learned that my business is not a business. I am the business. If something happens to me, if I stop doing what I'm doing, my business will go down fast. This kind of sucks because you don't want to be the foundation of your business. You don't want to be that thing that your whole business, your whole income holds on to. Once again, this is a question of automation, delegation, and outsourcing. I know that now I need to spend a lot more time trying to either find people that I want to hire that would help me out with running the business, or I will have to find ways to automate certain parts of the business and as many parts as I possibly can. Yeah, that was a big one. That's a huge thing that I learned, and now it's something that I really, really need to work on. Another thing that I learned, well, I haven't learned it. I thought of it before. I talked about it before. I talk about it all the time, but yet I am not always respecting that. What happens is that sometimes you end up meeting new people while you're traveling. You go out with these people, your plans change, and sometimes you come home at 5 a.m, 7 a.m, and then you kind of sleep through the whole day. You waste the whole day until the evening, and then you're kind of not in the mood to work because you already promised some people you're gonna go out with them, and it was so much fun last night, so let's do it again, and you end up losing your full day of work. And I'm not saying you should not go out. Go out, meet people, have fun, but try to go to bed earlier so you could wake up in the early morning and get some work done before you go out again, or before you just need to go out and visit places and travel the way you're supposed to. That's the whole point, right? So get your work done in the morning, or at least try to get in the morning. And what will help a lot is going to bed earlier. Super important. Now, I've also learned that very, very hot days and rainy days are really awesome for work. You don't want to go out when it's like plus 40 Celsius outside. You don't want to go out when it's a rainstorm. So you should not get upset on those days. You should be super happy because you could actually stay in and get work done. And last and not least, I've mentioned that at the beginning, try to be a digital nomad and not just a traveler. If you're going for a long period, if you want to travel for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, try to stay at least for a month in every single country or every single city that you go to. This will help you get work done. This will really, really help a lot. Like a lot of people I met in Chiang Mai, they've been living there for 3 months, 6 months, and even 9 months for some people. And they were able to get their stuff done because they don't need to move every single day. They don't need to, they don't get as tired mentally and physically, and they are actually being a lot more productive compared to someone who moves around all the time. Alright, so that's about it. Now, for those who are curious, the places we went to we started with Singapore. We did a little bit of that. We did Malaysia. We did a lot of Thailand. We did a lot of Cambodia. We did a lot of Vietnam, a little bit of Laos as well. But mostly it was Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. Favorite country so far was probably Vietnam. Although Chiang Mai in Thailand was one of those places where I would come back anytime, and I would probably rent an apartment there for a few months, and I would be really happy living there a few times out of the year. So that's about it for today's episode. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope you will get a chance to travel and to get your work done, to get your business rolling while traveling. Listen to my experiences described in this episode. and I'm sure you will be able to get prepared better than I did. You would maybe outsource more, maybe you would automate more. And if traveling is your thing, I do hope you get to travel as much as you want and see as many places as you want to see. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, I will be putting up a show notes page at extrapodcast.com/65. This is where you will be able to find some details and resources and links that I've mentioned in today's episode. This is where I will also link out to my girlfriend's video blog on YouTube, so you could check it out, see some of our adventures, or you could simply go to youtube.com/Elizabeth Travels Now. Once again, I'll link up to that in my show notes page. Also head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes. This is where you will be able to subscribe to this show through the iTunes store, where you will also be able to leave a rating and a review, which will help this show tremendously. So thank you so much once again, and I'll talk to you next Monday.